All right, folks, let's move this along here. We just saw the media's reaction to the special counsel report on Biden's mental faculties. Kamala Harris, though, went viral for giving her own response here.
I'm glad you asked. Listen, I have been privileged and proud to serve as Vice President of the United States with Joe Biden as President of the United States.
They scripted this.
And what I saw of that report last night, I believe is, as a former prosecutor, the comments that were made by that prosecutor, gratuitous, inaccurate, and inappropriate. October 7th,
Oh, that's a good way to go.
Israel experienced a horrific attack, and I will tell you, we got the calls, the president and myself, in the hours after that occurred. It was an intense moment for the Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America, and I was in almost every meeting with the president in the hours and days that followed. Countless hours with the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of State,
burst out laughing.
The heads of our intelligence community, and the president was in front of and on top of it all, asking questions.
He was in the room with the cabinet officials in the days after October 7th. That took you about 45 seconds to say. And what was the great skill that he showed in coordinating the Israeli response to October 7th, which has now killed almost 30,000 people, including 11,500 children? This is really where you go when making the case for Joe Biden's fitness for office, is just basically sleepwalking through a mass murder, which is basically what he's done. This is what you go to.
Well,
Let me tell you something. Joe Biden never once mistook Israel for Greenland. Let me tell you, he knew exactly what country we were talking about when we were talking about what happened on October 7th.
We asked him, Joe, do you know where you are? And he said very clearly and precisely the situation. So everyone took heart from that. No, the fact that this speech is structured and clear and she doesn't laugh, it's very obvious they wrote it and rehearsed it.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
This is totally, because Kamala would be, Joe Biden is a man.
Yeah.
He is a man, and he is the president.
Yeah, that would be the answer under normal circumstances. Yeah.
So the fact that this has a beginning, a middle, an end, a logic, a flow, there's no way that she's saying this extempore.
Yeah, no, this had to be prepped.
And requiring that America's military and intelligence community and diplomatic community would figure out and know how many people were dead. How many are Americans? How many hostages? Is the situation stable? He was in front of it all, coordinating and directing leaders who are in charge of America's national security, not to mention our allies around the globe. For days, and up until now, months. So the way that the president's demeanor in that report was characterized could not be more wrong on the facts and clearly politically motivated. Gratuitous. And so I will say,
Same script.
that when it comes to the role and responsibility of a prosecutor in a situation like that, we should
right-wing operative
expect
Merrick Garland.
Yeah.
that there would be a higher level of integrity than what we saw. Thank you. Thank you for the question.
Notice, I mean, this will be clipped separately, but in a previous segment, we showed, the media reaction, Morning Joe's reaction. Gratuitous, politically motivated, bad
Right.
faith. It's hard to tell where the government ends and the media begins.
Well, you know what's funny? Because when it first dropped, before they got their narrative together, before the marching orders came out, and they do come out, the White House does send out press releases. That's how they get their orders. And of course, we know from a lot of what came out from WikiLeaks that they talk to each other, right? They literally call up people at the network to complain.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz called Chuck Todd after he did a monologue criticizing Hillary Clinton for something and said, "We don't appreciate." Oh, it was that the DNC was treating the Sanders campaign unfairly. That's what it was. And Wasserman Schultz, head of the DNC, called and said, "We really don't appreciate that coverage," and he stopped talking about it.
Right. Well, we know Donna Brazile gave Hillary Clinton debate questions in advance.
Debate questions, yep.
So we know they coordinate, but there was a minute there where Politico dropped an article about how Merrick Garland actually released this report, and it was delving into why he released it. That article fucking disappeared in seconds. I saw it in my feed, and then it was gone. And then all the focus went onto the hired gun. He does not make that decision to release that report. Merrick Garland does. Now that plays to what you're saying, that it's all part of a setup to get rid of him. Yes. But boy, the fucking corporate media people didn't get the memo, or they got a different memo, or Biden's people are playing 4-dimensional chess here.
Please clap.